Hi, I'm Ed Benson, and I'm one of the presenters to present you with tools that'll make your branch more vibrant. This video focuses on two of the elements of RAMP, recruiting and publicity. They tend to go hand in hand. Let me set the stage for our little role play. We have Tom, an area governor, Stan, a big sir of a branch with 85 members that's clearly in decline. I'm playing the role of the branch big sir of a branch with 140 people. We were in decline, but now we've turned that around through the application of RAMP principles, and for the last 2 years, we've gained about 5% a year in net membership.
Try as I might, we just can't get members to bring in first-time guests, and we have no recognition in the community. We never get outside guests.
I can empathize with your situation. It's the same one we faced a couple of years ago. I thought that the first thing we'd better take on is publicity and recruiting.
Tell Stan what you did next.
The first thing we did was make it clear to all our members what the situation was. The BEC put together a presentation on the state of the branch. We showed a graph showing how we'd lost members for the last 5 years, about 25% of them. That was an eye-opener. Many of us had not realized it, since it was just a slow loss of 3, 4, 5 members each time, but all in all it added up.
I remember that meeting. It was very sobering. What happened next?
Well, it's pretty clear we needed to do some recruiting and get some publicity out there. You know, unfortunately, we talked to our BEC members, and none of them was willing to step up and take the job.
I think we'd have that same problem.
Ed suggested that the BEC take a look at new members over the last 3 years. They looked at their age, level of SIR participation in activities, whether or not they had brought in guests, and what their previous occupation was.
Why previous occupation? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, we wanted a guy that had some successful recruiting in his background. You know, maybe he got it through a corporate job, maybe he got it through being a business owner. It's really helpful if you get a guy in there that knows something about recruiting.
And then you found George.
Oh yeah, he was a perfect candidate to be in charge of our recruiting committee.
Committee? We're going to have trouble finding one guy, much less a committee.
But we found that a committee is absolutely essential. There's a lot of work and it needs to be spread around. Also, because of committee turnover, it provides continuity by not just having one guy in charge of everything. It's a great place to put new members to work, and it's a great place to assign BEC members who don't have an actual job in the branch. Anyway, after some discussion, we got George to take the job. George is a pretty convincing guy, and soon after, he had 2 or 3 guys working on his committee with him.
What did he do?
Well, the first thing he did was review the materials available on the state website. And there's a lot of material there if you look for it. The second thing we did was we looked at the training materials from our state training for the past couple of years. We also went out and talked to branches that seemed to have successful recruiting experience.
Sounds like you found a real champion.
We really did, and that's what it takes. Enthusiasm, drive, perseverance, and he has to have a good way of working with people. The first thing he did was hand out 3 SIR cards to all our members. Asked them to sign them and put them in a wallet, and when they came across a friend, give them one. We have a monthly drawing, and we asked the members to hold on to their coupon stub. We called another number, and if that person had a SIR card signed in his wallet, we gave him a free lunch. And to go one further, in our Ladies' Day, we asked the ladies to carry our SIR cards, and we call on them too. We found that a lot of our ladies know other ladies who are just dying to get their husband or partner out of the house and involved in something like SIR.
Okay, I get the SIR cards, but what else did he do?
He got our golf committee to convince the golf pro at our local course to carry our SIR brochures in his pro shop. Then he talked to the bowling committee, and they got in the bowling alley. We even have them in barber shops, and we've even put a couple in dentist offices.
Stan, I saw that 3 of our area branches have newspaper publicity about their meetings.
I send the same type of announcement, but I can't seem to get it published.
If that's the case, try to get a meeting with that publicity person in that newspaper. You got to start to develop some relationships.
I heard that your publicity chairman has set up an alliance to promote activities exchange with the local senior club. How does that work?
We've recently formed an alliance with the Senior Center, and we see that as a great opportunity. They mail out over 3,000 newsletters every month. We have an opportunity to put 2 of our couples activities in there, and in turn we put 2 of their activities in our brochure.
Yeah, and the brochures and newspapers and alliances are great, but remember, about 80 or 90% of our new members come from our own guys convincing other guys to come to our lunch. How did you get the members turned on, Ed?
Well, we have a quarterly luncheon drawing for those members who brought guests during that quarter. We also have a free lunch for any member whose guest becomes a member.
Isn't that kind of expensive?
Yes, there are some costs involved, but usually it's offset by additional dues that we get from the new members. It seems to balance out. Ed, tell Stan about your branch goal setting.
Well, you know, the state has a +1 membership goal. Well, George did one better than that. He felt that, +1 wasn't going to cut it because we'd lost so many members. So we got the BEC to accept a +5 membership goal. Now that's a big stretch for us.
Setting goals may be fine, but how do they get results?
Well, now we have something really specific to talk about. We've set actual goals, we've made assignments, we've set due dates. Those have been set concurrent with the person who's responsible for them, so we get a great response from that person because he helped input to them.
Yeah, people tend to support what they help create. That's why goal setting works.
What else have you done to push recruiting?
Periodically, we have a bring a guest, get a bottle promotion. That's where a member gets a free bottle of wine for bringing a first-time guest that month. We also periodically have a $10 off coupon for the guest's lunch.
Why not just give them a free meal?
Free gets you nothing. There's no skin in the game.
Are there other things that have been successful?
You also need a good, up-to-date website.
You know, perhaps the most important thing we did was explain to the new members during their orientation that one of our expectations is they bring in guests. When the guest arrives, it's time for the branch to shine. Here's a vignette with 2 branch leaders talking about how guests should be treated if you want to turn those guests into members.
What is important about the first-time guest?
Dick, we find that we've really only got one shot at getting that guest converted into a member. We literally want him to sign up at that meeting because we find that if he doesn't, the follow-up necessary to bring him in as a member begins to diminish.
So first times are so important. As a matter of fact, some branches convert guests at a ratio of 1 guest to 1 member. But there are many branches that convert, say, 1.5 or more guests to a member. It takes a lot of guests to make a member. So how in the world do we get a great first impression?
It starts in our branch with our greeters. They literally know that the guest is coming, and one of their jobs, besides welcoming him, is to show him where his sponsor is.
What happens then before the meeting begins?
The guest has an already established name tag which he can wear, and typically the sponsor takes him to the place where they'll be seated. We have a member guest table that is separate from the other tables. That allows folks in the audience to know where guests are so they can appropriately introduce themselves. At that table is his name as well as his sponsor name in a place card.
Well, thanks, guys. You've given me a lot to think about and bring back to the BEC.
We hope you got a lot out of our little vignette and that it brought a dose of realism to what we all face. Now let's go over the learning points. Make your members fully understand that the branch has a membership problem. Appoint a recruiting chairman with enthusiasm, drive, and perseverance, and hopefully some experience in recruiting. Make sure you consider newer members. Form a recruiting committee. Use BEC members and newer members to fulfill these roles. Study what works. Ask other branches. Review the state website. Order your brochures. Engage the members with SIR cards, incentives, recognition, and include their spouses and partners. Place brochures where candidates gather. Golf courses, bowling alleys, fishing retailers, senior centers, barber shops. You only have one shot at a first-time guest. Make it your best one. First impressions are lasting impressions. Make sure the guest has a printed name tag, knows where to sit. Even consider a special table for guests and sponsors. Provide a written name card at the table. Offer him a drink, and if the branch has activity booth tables set up, walk him through them, especially those he is interested in. Introduce the guest and his sponsor at the luncheon and have them stand. Provide a guest package with a welcome letter, information about the branch, and an application. At the completion of the luncheon, Ask him what he thought of the experience and assess his degree of interest. Build a great website and keep it updated with lots of pictures of members and spouses having fun. Challenge your new members to bring in guests and communicate the message at every BEC meeting and luncheon. Here are the publicity and image learning points. Establish a publicity chairman and a committee. It can be freestanding and report to an officer or director, or it can be part of another branch standing committee. Whatever makes sense in your branch's situation, but please do it. If you need publicity and image ideas, ask your area governor to have an area roundtable meeting to discuss ideas from the other branches. Consider setting a publicity and image goal and its associated action plans. Obtain a full stock of served publicity brochures, cards, holders, and put them in places where membership candidates tend to visit. Work to get your meeting notices published in daily and weekly newspapers in your area. If it doesn't get published, work to find out why. Build a relationship with the person who puts those notices in the newspaper. Establish alliances with other organizations that serve our membership candidates in your area. Publicity works hand in hand with recruiting, but direct hands-on recruiting is best done by your trained recruiters. Consider new members to fill openings on your publicity committee. Now I'll turn you back to your session leader.